Rama has asked why things are the way they are. There's this order, cosmic order, niyati. Why is it the way it is? And Vasistha has replied by saying it's sheer coincidence. And I suggest we say this word as coincidence, like when the crow lands on the palm tree and the coconut falls off. It just so happens to fall at that same moment. There's a coincidence. And I suggest that the coincidence that creates our reality is the coincidence of emotions and notions. This is how things work. You can see this in the example of music soundtracks. When music is used for effect, so for example you've got the tremolo violins to convey a sense of anxiety, of trepidation. Why should it do that? Why should it do that? The tremolo violins are the equivalent of a notion, and the trepidation is the emotion. We've got all sorts of ways of clothing and expressing our emotions. Music is an obvious example, but we do it in terms of our innermost thinking, our innermost notions and beliefs. It's actually a coincidence of emotion and notion in the same way that the tremolo violin is a coincidence with a particular sense of anxiety or dread. There's no reason. We can come up with theories about why those tremolo violins should do this, but the bottom fact is, that's the way it is. It just so happens that it's coincided that way. That sound has coincided with a certain feeling. Perhaps we could also just say by association, by coincidence or association. By association, we create our reality. So the reality of the coconut falling from the tree has been caused by the crow landing on it, whereas it hasn't. There's just an association which we read things into. This is how our reality comes to be. This is how cosmic order comes to be. This is how the ordered universe comes to be. A momentary movement in consciousness is understood by it as this is creation. So a momentary movement is a motion. It's an emotion. It's an emotion which expresses itself in a notion. And the notion is creation. This is a creation. This is external creation. So the notion here, summed up in the phrase, this is creation, is the notion of something external. This is the fundamental notion, the fundamental creation of the other, of something out there. So that little fluctuation of emotion gives rise to the notion of exteriority, of something external. And when we've got that, what's the next thing? Or what goes along with it? Time. When there is a momentary movement of energy and consciousness, it knows it as this is an epoch, a period of long time. So, as well as the notion of something out there, we come up with the notion that it's been there for a long time. An epoch. Similar movement of energy and consciousness alone is known as time, action, space, substance, etc. Even form, sight, and the thought concerning these are but movement of energy which arises of its own accord in consciousness, which is formless. Whatever arises in this manner is known as the character of the respective substance. This has come to be known as the cosmic order. There's an awful lot here to contemplate, but I'll leave that up to you. Essentially, a moment and an epoch are similar movements of energy in the infinite consciousness. They're similar in the sense that they give rise to notions of time. They both arise naturally in consciousness and are therefore regarded as nature or the cosmic order. In this manner, in the one consciousness, countless substances arise with their own characteristics. Thus, for instance, the earth is endowed with solidity and firmness and is able to support living beings. That is its characteristic in the cosmic order. Everything has a characteristic. It's the characteristics by which we know things. And in fact, it's only the characteristics that we know. Without the characteristics, there wouldn't be any independent object. Even so, it is the same in the case of the 5 elements, etc., including the sun. Their characteristics arise in the infinite consciousness as a corresponding movement of energy. So this movement of energy is a shift in the attention, which is brought along by this bubbling emotion, which is actually in turn based on sensations. There are sensations going on. These sensations are like the fundamental tone which gives rise to the harmonics of emotion, and which in turn give rise to notions. Their characteristics arise in the infinite consciousness as a corresponding movement of energy, and they come to be known as the cosmic order. The stellar sphere revolves like a wheel, again on account of the movement of energy that arises in consciousness. In that some are brilliant and some less brilliant, and some do not shine at all. Diverse are the characteristics of these diverse objects in this world appearance. In reality, however, these have not really been created as objects. It is the infinite consciousness alone that appears as all these. It's like the description of the dream which I gave in the last video. The manner in which they appear to exist, as long as they do exist, is known as nature, or the cosmic order, niyati. So we mustn't get caught up in thinking this is the only cosmic order. It's possible to experience all varieties of cosmic order, and consciousness does so experience different varieties of cosmic order.